This year, as many as 85,000 refugees will be resettled into the United States, 1,000 of them here in Boise. We're one of 200 cities that help in the resettlement of refugees. And there's a lot of concern surrounding this topic. It's become an intense topic. There's a lot of confusion as well. So to help give us some information and answers, we've invited Jan Reeves. He's the director for the Idaho Office of Refugees. I want to thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so can you just start off and tell us a little bit about your office and what you do, what it's about?
I'd love to. The Idaho Office for Refugees is the organization that administers the refugee resettlement program throughout the state of Idaho. So anywhere there is a refugee within our state, we have a responsibility to assure that there is access to services that will assist that individual or that family to become self-sufficient.
So one of the concerns that we hear about, and I think it's simply because there's not a lot of information or there's misinformation, is the screening process.
Sure.
You know, the vetting process. And really, what I've learned is it can take quite a while for a family, a refugee, to be screened. Tell us a little bit about this.
Right. Well, this has been a very controversial topic, as you suggest.
Yeah.
And there's been quite a bit of misinformation about it.
Right.
And I think it's important for people to really understand that it's a responsibility that the U.S. Department of Homeland Security takes very seriously. They are responsible for our nation's safety, and they are ultimately responsible for approving every refugee that is admitted to the U.S. through the resettlement program. It does take anywhere from 18 to 24 months to get through the process. It involves multiple security checks, background checks, multiple security agencies involved, including in addition to the Department of Homeland Security, the National Counterterrorism Center, and the FBI's Terrorist Screening Center, all involved in making sure that the right people get into the U.S. and not the wrong people.
So 1,000 refugees resettled into Idaho, Boise, Idaho specifically. So why Idaho?
Well, the 1,000 number is an average over the last 4 or 5 years. So there's not been a significant increase in that time. My real answer to that question is, why not Boise? Boise's a great place. We have a receptive community, we have resources, there are opportunities here. There are many community partners that are engaged in the resettlement process, and refugees have an opportunity here to really start their lives over again on a solid footing with a positive future ahead of them, and that's what we want. We want people to be contributing members of society.
So with this, there's also the concern of the impact on the workforce or impact on employment availability for those who are not refugees. So can you address that a little bit?
First of all, refugees are expected to go to work when they get here. This is our national policy. It ultimately comes down to an employer's decision. Who is that employer going to hire? And they have the final discretion on hiring a refugee or someone who's not a refugee. And many employers who have had some experience with hiring refugees are actually seeking additional refugees in their workforce because they've had a positive experience.
And there's also, to me, like the shiny side of the coin, what about the jobs refugees bring to us when they open a new business?
Exactly.
Right.
Well,
so there's that side of the story
we
too.
have some data that shows over the last 10 years there have been some 300 plus businesses started by people who have arrived as refugees, started businesses, and they've become employers themselves. I mean, not only do they pay additional taxes, but they actually become employers of other people, and so they boost the economy in that way.
Right. I think there's a lot of win-wins. It's just an initial perception. So while you've been involved in this, what's a pivotal moment for you, or a defining moment? Has there been, I'm sure there's been more than one, but is there one that you can share?
It's difficult to come up with a defining moment, but I think there are some inspiring moments that I have experienced in those years that have really made it compelling for me to continue working in this field. And you know, one of those is a naturalization ceremony for refugees who have been here for 5 years or longer, who have gone through the process to become citizens, and they stand up and they take the next step, that final step in becoming fully fledged Americans. And I think that, to me, is one of the great reasons why I think this program is important.
If someone needs to get a hold of you, they want to help in some capacity on some level, come volunteer, be part of this, organization, how can they do that?
Many ways that can be done, but I would just say the Idaho Office for Refugees website at www.idahorefugees.org would be a good start. Our contact information is listed there along with our partners that work directly in resettlement. Also, we have a Facebook page and other social media, but there is another organization. Actually, it's more of a collaboration than an organization, but it's referred to as Neighbors United, which is a broad-based community collaborative dedicated to making sure that refugees have a chance to integrate and thrive in our community. And the information there is www.neighborsunitedboise.org. So that would be another opportunity to get involved.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you so much for taking time, sharing with us this really critical information, and I'm excited to continue to see, how this culture is unfolding in our community and how it changes us as a community. I think it's been a really beautiful process.
And it's ongoing, and I thank you for the opportunity to meet with you and talk to you today.
Yeah.